The Donald Trump presidency has set a few records, mostly bad ones, right? Quickest president to majority disapproval, over 50% disapproval. Quickly destroying the opinion of the United States around the world, as I told you last week. This is the sort of day's news. And in a sense, it's not majorly important to a lot of our lives. Is Trump at 36, 38, or 41% approval rating? But it is becoming a very interesting situation for the history of this presidency, with Donald Trump's approval rating staying low and still no major accomplishments to speak of, and none on the horizon except maybe taking healthcare away from tens of millions of people. We have a continued stagnant approval rating and growing support for the impeachment of the president of the United States. And the question we are now sort of faced with is, how long can a president weather this storm? And by storm, I mean not an acute hurricane, to use an analogy, but rather the constant pounding of heavy rain day after day. According to Gallup, Donald Trump's approval rating is still very, very low, most recently at 37%, basically within the margin of error, equaling his presidency low. This you probably know. But a stunning number to compare it to is that of 47%. 47% of voters, according to a recent PPP poll, support the impeachment of Donald Trump. The portion of the public that supports impeaching the president exceeds the approval rating of the president by 10 percentage points. This is not normal. And what happens next is sort of the key question here. Is this a good sign, Pat, that when you lie and insult others and accomplish nothing, there are consequences? Or is it a bad sign that despite people feeling this way, not a damn thing will happen?
Well, 47% does sound very high, but there's also, it always seems as if there's a significant portion of the population who supports impeaching the incumbent president.
No matter what.
Bill Clinton, it was over the Lewinsky scandal. With George Bush, it was over war crimes. Obama, maybe he was born in Kenya or something. We don't really know about that one.
War attempts.
But, you know, we have significant reasons to do so with him if he potentially colluded with a foreign government to get him elected.
Or increasingly more important,
justice.
Correct. And therein lies the problem, which is, who cares about the issues Pat's talking about? Well, who brought Trump to power in the first place? Donald Trump came to power by coalescing retrograde nationalism, nativism, and xenophobia in an electorate that we've learned is basically unconcerned with facts and mostly interested in making liberals angry for them having elected Donald Trump. What do you need in order to realize how ludicrous the status quo is under the current president? Well, you need an open mind and you need an openness to facts. What do we have? We have a continued push from the right towards anti-intellectualism, and arguably worse is the pseudo-intellectualism that we're seeing. I want to explain that. Anti-intellectualism is pretty straightforward, right? Hey, college is liberal indoctrination. Just get the hell out of there. Nuanced policy perspectives on things like taxation are liberal nonsense. So-called experts are just liberal hacks, blah, 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 right? Anti-intellectualism is pretty straightforward. The pseudo-intellectualism is arguably more dangerous and much more difficult to fight. This includes, for example, people who read the books of people like Mark Levin and Laura Ingraham, and they think, hey, I'm an informed thinking person. I read books, whatever. That is a major, major problem, because you've got people there, Pat, who believe that they are informed. They're not saying, hey, information and facts are liberal nonsense. They're saying, no, I value information and facts like those presented by intellectuals among the right, Mark Levin and Laura Ingraham. And that's arguably more dangerous because those folks are probably even more steeped and ingrained in their pre-existing beliefs.
You know, it's like how some people think that anything that you read on the internet or watch on the internet is just inherently untrue because of the method of where you got it from. With books, it's the same thing. It depends on what the actual content is, what the sourcing is.
And the more I think about this, and I think about how Trump came to power, the more I'm convinced that forget about how Trump's presidency ends, right? Whether it's in 6 months or at the end of his current term or at the end of a second term, right? Donald Trump's presidency is far more likely to lead to Trump 2.0, another Trump-type politician, than to a total rejection of the ideology that put Trump in power to begin with. Because the people that elected him, doesn't matter what he does, they see it as a victory. They see Donald Trump's presidency as a success already, despite the fact that he's done very close to nothing other than bad things. And if anything, they will be emboldened, and we are more likely to get Trump 2.0 than a rejection of Trumpism unless progressives actually activate. And by the way, get Democrats Inc., or corporate Democrats, as I call it, out of power. Send me your thoughts on this. I know I threw a lot at you, but this is big stuff that's happening. I'm on Twitter at @DPakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show.